to be talking about tipping your tattoo artist, which is a controversial topic for some reason.
Is it controversial?
Industry. It is.
Tell me more.
On TikTok.
What's up? I'm Jonboy Tattoo from New York City. Been tattooing for 24 years now. I do small, fine line, minimal, micro tattoos. Tips are just not required, but highly appreciated. But you know, obviously we're in the service industry, and you just don't expect it, and you don't want it to be, you know, obvious. I would work at tattoo shops, and we'd have like little signs, you know, just kind of suggest. I think people just don't know. You know, some people are just like kind of like, do I tip, and what do I tip? And you know, when those questions are asked, it's like, well, what do you tip your server, you know, your waiter, whatever. But it's a service industry, and there's certain things that, you know, there's certain services that I get, and I'm like, am I supposed to like tip that person? Is it like included? So really, I think it's just out of like, we don't know. So then when we do get tipped, we're like, oh, nice. This is a nice little bonus, you know? So I never expect it, but when it comes, I'm like, oh, got a little shopping money, or hit the fucking craps table or something. I mean, being that I'm a tattooer, I don't know, I was just always taught like, you know, you get tattooed by that person and you just empty your pocket, you just empty your wallet, and you're just like, here you go. Just because you just appreciate the fact that, like, you know, they've given you a piece of themselves and their art and their time, especially if they were, you know, kind and really went above and beyond to make sure that I was comfortable. So it's just something to just be like, hey, I appreciate you. Well, you're not working for that tip. So it's like some people just have saved up all their money. You know, tattoos are still a luxury. So tattoos aren't cheap. You know, good tattoos aren't cheap. So can you remember when you were, you know, 18, 19, and you were just getting your first tattoos, round tattoos, and you were price shopping it? I don't really take that, like, you know, personal. I'm just like, all right, they probably saved up all this money just to get in the chair with me. It doesn't affect me. I'm just like, if they were cool to hang out with, that's when I want to, like, that's when I'm like, all right, you're dope, you're a client, I like being around you. But, you know, if they're opposite of that, then that would determine if I want to see you again or whatever. But nothing to do with tips. You know, it's just like, you're already paying for a service. That's it. And like I said, I think people just don't know, or they just, you know, have emptied their savings account to make sure that they can get a cool piece of art from their favorite tattoo artist, you know. Ooh, that's hard, because it's, once again, you go back to that, like, would you, if you got bad service at the restaurant, would you still tip them? And I still do, maybe not. I don't know, I'm the type of person, I'm just like, I'm gonna tip you, but maybe like, I do tattoos, so I understand, you know, even if, I think you're already going into the appointment being like, I'm gonna make sure that I tip them, even if I got a crap experience. But like I said, you know, you don't want them to think, oh man, like, they did a great job. Like, if it was great, you'll see me again. If I didn't have a great experience, and that's probably why I haven't come back to you, so. So my sessions are pretty premium. I keep it high. I don't know if I, you know, want to like, you know, disclose all that just because, but I keep them pretty reasonable, but a little bit at a higher price point, because it's your time. You're making sure that they're taken care of, give them the best experience. And there's something that changes in your, as the artist, like in your having grace and patience for that individual when you know that they're paying more than like at the end of the day, you're only making like $50 on a tattoo. Your patience is just like, oh, like, just get it now. You know what I mean? Like, you're not changing the stencils, but when you know that client is spending their hard-earned money and they can go anywhere else, you know, to any artist that, you know, but they chose to come to me and pay, you know, my rates. It's just like, all right, I'm gonna like spend the time with you, and it's what you're worth, you know. It's not just the tattoo, it's the setup, it's the execution, it's the picture at the end, it's the conversation. And then sometimes you're just feeling so exhausted and drained because of those stories. You know, these stories are so powerful and so sometimes we get into it. Sometimes you're sitting there and we're both like in tears because you're like, wow, like you've gone through so much. What a strong, like courageous human that person is, you know? So yeah, rates are, I mean, it's, yeah. One time I tattooed, after tattooing Post Malone, he's like, hey, what's your Venmo? He's like, I'm gonna throw you a nice, you know, $1,000. Like, I'm like, nah, dude, don't even worry about it, man. Like, you've done so much for me. You took me on this like tour or whatever. You know, I was like, fine, you know, and completed it. And the next day I realized that it was a request for $1,000. So I ended up paying him. I tipped him to tattoo him. People are just very generous, you know? And it's just like being in New York, just the network you have. People love to just offer like, hey, I do this and I do that. If you ever, you know, need my services for something. My experiences with my clients, they're just super grateful. And I think it's because that's the energy that I put out. I'm here to serve. And if you're here to serve, then it just kind of comes back to you tenfold. And so I've just had the best experiences with my clients. And it has nothing to do with if they tip me or not. You know, I'm just happy you're here. Like, let's celebrate that. And you're getting tattooed by me, I'm honored. That's a great question. Well, I think they already know how kind of Americans work. So it's like, okay, they understand that you tip Americans, you know, but if that's the case, then, you know, raise the price of your tattoos up. You know, if you know you're gonna go over there, tattoo and not be tipped, or say, hey, this is how much a tattoo is, tip included, you know, and do it that way, you know. Being in a tattoo parlor, being a shop owner, sometimes it's hard because you get to, there's some of those like shiesty tattooers, like they do the whole bartender thing, you know, like, let me feed you all these drinks, but then just like, you know, just give me a nice big tip, you know. It's like, yeah, is that fair? No, you know, it's kind of like that. Sometimes tattooers can be like that, you know, and they don't want to give a cut to the shop, and they're just like, I'm gonna charge you this. Normally it would be this, so just tip me the nice, like, and so then you're like, damn. Should you tip your tattoo artist? Like I said, it's I think it's not required, but it's highly appreciated. It's a bonus, you know. I think, like I said, I never expect a client to tip me, but when they do, you're just like, whoa, like, thank you so much for your generosity, and just be grateful for that. And I've had my clients tip me things that, you know, didn't have to be cash. You know, Justin Bieber, after I tattooed him, he gave me his jacket, you know, his little Gucci jacket as a tip. And I was like, this is cool, you know, so I sleep with it every night. It's nice.